The short story that I'm going to be reading to you today comes from the book called The Dark 30 Southern Tales of the Supernatural. It is by Patricia C. McKissack. And this is the full cover. It is illustrated by Brian Pickney. And this is actually the only one that will be in color. Okay, let's get started. There are 10 stories in this book. The one that I chose to read today is called The Woman in the Snow. The very first part that I read to you is actually just some information. And then when you see the word Grady Bishop with the big G, that's where the actual story starts. But this beginning information is very important to know. Also, when you see highlighted words, those are words that go from your vocabulary sheet. And also on the margins, you'll see that I've written questions in them. So I need you to think about those questions as we read. Okay, here we go. The year-long Montgomery, Alabama bus boycott in 1955 through 1956 was a pivotal event in the American Civil Rights Movement. Blacks refused to ride the buses until their demands of fair and equal treatment for all fare-paying passengers was met. Today, the right to sit anywhere on a public bus may seem a small victory over racism and discrimination, but that single issue changed the lives of African Americans everywhere. After the successful boycott in Montgomery, blacks in other cities challenged bus companies, demanding not only the right to sit wherever they chose, but also employment opportunities for black bus drivers. Many cities had their own, quote, bus stories. Some are in history books, but this story is best enjoyed by the fireplace on the night of the first snowfall. Okay, we're getting ready to start the story. Grady Bishop had just been hired as a driver for Metro bus service. When he put on that gray uniform and boarded his bus, nothing mattered. Not his obesity, not his poor education, not growing up the 11th child of the town drunk. Driving gave him power, and power mattered. One cold November afternoon, Grady clocked in for the 3 to 11 shift. "You've got haul tonight," Billy said. Billy, the route manager, said matter-of-factly. "The Blackbird Express." Grady didn't care who knew about his nickname for the route. "Not again." He turned around, slapping his hat against his leg. "Try Hall Street Express," Billy corrected Grady, then hurried on, cutting their conversation short. "Snow's predicted. Try to keep on schedule. But if it gets too bad out there, forget it. Come on in." Grady popped a fresh stick of gum into his mouth. "You're the boss, but tell me, how am I supposed to stay on schedule? What do those people care about time?" Most Metro drivers didn't like the Hall Street assignment in the best weather because the road twisted and turned on itself like a retreating snake. When slick with ice and snow, it was even more hazardous. But Grady had his own reasons for hating the route. The Hall Street Express serviced black domestics who rode out to the fashionable West End in the mornings and back down to the Lower East Side in the evenings. "You know I can't stand being a chauffeur for a bunch of colored maids and cooks," he groused. "Take it or leave it," Billy said, walking away with disgust. Grady started to say something, but thought better of it. He was still on probation, lucky to even have a job, especially during such hard times. Snow had already begun to fall when Grady pulled out of the garage at 3:01. It fell steadily all afternoon, creating a frosted wonderland on the manicured lawns that lined West Hall. But by nightfall, winding, twisting, and bending street was a driver's nightmare. The temperature plummeted too, adding a new challenge to the mounting snow. Hurry up, hurry up. I can't wait all day. Grady snapped at the boarding passengers. Get to the back of the bus. He hustled them on impatiently. You people know the rules. The regulars recognized Grady, but except for a few muffled groans, they paid their fares and rode in sullen silence out to the east side loop. Auntie, now just why are you taking your own good time getting off this bus? Grady grumbled at the last passenger. The woman struggled down the wet, slippery steps. At the bottom, she looked over her shoulder. Her dark face held no clue of any emotion. Auntie? Did you really call me Auntie? She said, laughing sarcastically. Well. I never knew my brother had a white son. And she hurried away, chuckling. Grady's face flushed with surprise and anger. He shouted out the door. Don't get uppity with me. Y'all know Auntie is what we call you old colored women. Furious, he slammed the door against the bitter cold. He shook his head in disgust. It's a waste of time trying to be nice, he told himself. But one look out the window made Grady refocus his attention to a more immediate problem. The weather had worsened. He checked his watch. It was a little past 9. Remarkably, he was still on schedule, but that didn't matter. He had decided to close down the route and take the bus in. So this is the end of your first video. Here's your first, here's just a little kind of a recap of your questions from that page, just in case I didn't show them clear enough. And again here. And that's it for this first section.